Good evening, guys. Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope you're fine and everything is good. And I hope you are keeping safe too. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Good evening, Rice. Good evening. Hello, Shahnaz. Hello, Jude. I'm pretty good. Thank you very much, Jude. Hello, Obey. Great. Hello, Jima. I'm fine. Thank you very much. Hello, Sidra. I'm fine, thank you very much, Raed. Okay, thank you so much, guys. I'm really happy to see you again. It was a long holiday. So in English we say long time no see. It means we haven't seen each other, for ages. Yes, it was about 1 week. Thank you very much, Jude. Hello, Jane. Thanks a lot, Jima. Yeah, me too, guys. Me too. Yes, I'm really happy to see you again, and I really missed you. Um, yeah. Okay, guys. So I hope you enjoyed your holiday, this long one. And so tell me about your studies. How's your studies? Have you started studying anything, uh, or you are trying to recover after this long holiday? So maybe all of us are trying to recover um, after that. But we need now, yes, we need now to start studying, guys, because we finished, most of the holidays, so we need now to take things, let's say, seriously and start doing something serious. Okay, guys, great. So today's session, as you know, um, today's session's number is 17, and we're going to continue the reading section. If you remember, we started with the reading text before the holiday. That was the last thing we took, but we didn't do any exercises about the reading text. So today we have some review of the reading text, and then we will do some exercises, comprehension questions after the reading text. This is what we are mainly going to do. Okay, so students are still arriving. Hello, Suzanne. Good evening. Yeah, guys. Okay. Okay, so okay, Jude. So we have about 42 sessions, Jude. 42 sessions, and now this is session 17. Okay. Hello, Fatima. Okay, so this is Fatima. This is the second time you attend. You attended the first session, the first class. Oh, great, good. Yeah, yes. I like this motivation and enthusiasm. You have a great enthusiasm to attend the sessions. Great. Okay, guys. So you remember the reading text, guys. Has any one of you tried to read the text before the session? The reading text, just to remember the things, to remember the main ideas of the reading text. حدا حاول انه يقرأ النص قبل المحاضرة، بلش يقرأ النص او عذب حاله حتى يقرأ النص. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we have some students. Yeah. Great. If we have Fatima and Julia, great. And again, Noor. So yeah, because we need. As you know, we have some questions now to answer. So it's very important to remember the main ideas of the reading text. That's why we have to have a review at the beginning. Hello, Maria. Good evening. No problem. So we've just started. So just to remind you of the chapter's title, chapter 4's title, which is In the Community. So this is the title of chapter 4, just to remember, okay, guys? And we did the listening part, but now let's go to the reading one. That was the last thing. If you're reading, one question we explain here in some vocabulary. This vocabulary is related to the reading text. And it's important, I told you, just to try to learn them. We have some phrases related to asking for directions. When you are in the street and you want, for example, to study for to ask for a direction, so you need to use some of these words and some of these phrases. We explain the meanings of these things, and then that was the reading post office. I told you guys, if you remember, that was an example, just an example. So how can I get to the post office? So the post office is an example, but so we ask this question wherever we go. Okay, even if you go to the university, if you go to school, to job, so you don't know the place or the direction, so you need to use this question. How can I get to the university? How can I get to the school? How can I get to the, for example, to the police station, etc. So the post office, I told you, is just an example. But we can apply all these things to any place we go to. Any place, not only the post office, any place we go to. But this is, as I told you, is just an example. Now just to see all the reading text, how can I get to the post office? We said we have, as you can see, 7 paragraphs, A, B, C, D, etc., F, G. So we have 7 paragraphs, and each paragraph has talks about a specific point. Now, let's just try to see main ideas, or let's say the topics for each one. This question, because the questions are related to the reading text. So كثير مهم نحن إنه بس نرجع نستذكر الأفكار للنص لحتى نحسن نحل الأسئلة بسهولة. So as I told you, the title is how can I get to the post office? We said we have paragraphs. Now if you look at the first paragraph, we said, if you remember, I'm trying to remind you of these things. So I'm trying to remind you. So the first paragraph is an introduction. Okay, so it's an introduction to the whole reading text. If we go back to 7, paragraph A is an introduction to the whole reading section, and paragraph G is a conclusion to the whole reading. So in each reading text, we have an introduction and we have a conclusion. Now the paragraphs, the several paragraphs here between the introduction and the conclusion discuss or let's say try to explain some or provide some examples, provides let's say some illustrations related to the main topic. So the main topic is how to get to the post office or the place you are asking for. But paragraphs B, C, D, E, F, these paragraphs, discuss or try to give some illustrations, some examples, some statements about the main idea. So the first one is an introduction. What is this introduction? It tells us about the different styles of directions. So it means in this reading text we are going to talk about the different styles of directions, maybe in different places in the world. And they said it's better, to ask for directions and not to use or carry a map. So never carry a map, and you have to ask for directions. This is the best way. And they will tell us about the different styles for directions. So this is the introduction. Now, if we come to the second paragraph, paragraph B, so we have, let's say, let's just try, yes, to make us. Okay, so we have some students are still arriving. Okay, hello, Tariq. Good evening. I'm fine, thanks. Thank you very much. Again, Ayaz and Salwa, good evening. So try to be with us. We've just started. Okay, and again, we have Hadith. Good evening. So paragraph B now talks about Japan. How we ask about directions in Japan. Because we said they use, as we said, if you remember, they use landmarks instead of directions. They use landmarks because their streets don't have names. That's why they use landmarks. This is the first one. The second thing, in paragraph C, we are talking about the United States, and here they don't use landmarks because they don't have many landmarks. So instead of that, they use what? They use directions and distances. This is number 2. So, because we are talking about the different styles. So we have different styles. So one of them is using landmarks. Another thing is using directions and distances. In California and Los Angeles, for example, they don't use distances or directions, but they use what? They measure distance in time. So this is number 3. Why they use time, instead of distances? Because most of them have cars. Most of people living in Los Angeles and California always are in their cars. So that's why they measure distance in time. So they use time. They say you need 15 minutes to get to the post office, or you need 5 minutes, you need 30 minutes or 10 minutes, you see? So they use time. They don't use kilometers or miles or blocks. They don't use distances. So they use time. Okay? In paragraph B, for example, some people, here we have an example, which is the European country of Greece. Again, they don't use directions because most people don't understand the Greek language. So instead of that, they use gestures or motion, or they say, follow me. So this is number 4. Okay, so we have different styles. Some people use landmarks, some people use directions and distances, some people use time, and some people use gestures or motions, or they say, follow me. They go with you to your direction. Now, another thing, guys, now here we have a question: what if a person doesn't know the answer to your question about the location? So some people, for example, or most people in New York, they say, sorry, I have no idea, and they walk away quickly. But maybe some people in Mexico or Yucatan, they consider I don't know, they consider this answer I don't know is impolite. That's why they try to talk to you and give you an answer to your question, even if it was a wrong answer, but they give you an answer because they think that when they say I don't know is an impolite way. So they have no problem, they give you a wrong answer. The most important thing is that they answer your question. Okay? And the last thing which was the conclusion we said, because in each reading text, in each essay, we have introduction, and at the end we have conclusion. So here in the conclusion we said the best way if you don't understand the language of the country you are in, the best way is to use what? As a conclusion, to use the body language. What do you mean by the body language? It means we use facial expressions, we use gestures, motions, movements, etc. So this is the point. اوكي فهي الفكره اللي نحن كنا عم نحكي باختصار بالنسبه للنص القراءه هذا. تمام؟ فانا حاولت just يعني to remind you of these things in order to do now the questions we have. Right. Now let's go to the questions immediately. You see now after you read questions, and I told you this section always we have before you read it's like an introduction, read the reading text, and after you read we have some comprehension questions. It tests your understanding of the whole reading text. Okay, so we need to answer these questions. If you look at number 1 now, the first question, number 5, they will teach us how to recognize paragraph and whole reading topics. This is very important, guys, because recognizing paragraphs is different from recognizing whole reading topics. The whole reading topics include all the paragraphs in this text. But when I talk about recognizing paragraphs, I'm talking about recognizing specific paragraphs. For example, paragraph B, paragraph C, or D. So just one paragraph. But when we say the whole reading topic, it means all the paragraphs. So look here what we have. Reading material with simple, basic structure might begin with an introductory paragraph and end with a short conclusion. As I told you, at the beginning we have an introduction or an introductory paragraph, and at the end we have a short conclusion. Now the several paragraphs between the first and the last might give the same kind of information. Like what? What does that mean? So for instance, illustrations of the main point of the whole reading. So these illustrations serve as an example or proof of an idea or statement. Each of the paragraphs will give different illustrations of the message. So it's very important to understand the meaning of an illustration. So the illustration could be an example, could be a proof, could be an idea or a statement. But these things are related to the general idea or to the main point of the whole reading. So if we go back to the reading, just to know these things, if we go back here, I told you, the first paragraph, which is number A, this is it's called an introductory paragraph. Introductory paragraph, it gives us a general point. And then the last thing is a conclusion, a short conclusion, or a concluding paragraph. Okay? Now, the several paragraphs, يعني الباراجرافز اللي موجودين بين ال A وال G اللي هن D, C, D, E, F. Okay? These paragraphs, give the same kind of information. بيعطوني نفس نوع المعلومات المعلومة الأساسية. يعني paragraph B, for example, gives examples about gives example about the elections in Japan. So in paragraph B, this paragraph B is an example. Paragraph C is an example. Paragraph D is another example. E, F also another example. So these paragraphs give the same kind of information. They give us specific details, but these details are related to the whole topic. تمام؟ فمثل ما قلت لكم يعني هالباراجرافز ممكن يكونوا examples، ممكن يكونوا proof، ممكن يكونوا statements، بس كله بيخدم الفكرة الأساسية للنص. يعني أنا ما بحسن آخذ مثلا فكرة paragraph B وأعممها على النص كله. وما بحسن اخذ فكرة باراجراف C واعممها على النص كله، لا. الباراجراف C له فكرة خاصة فيه، B له فكرة خاصة فيه. بس طبعا هالفكرة هي لها علاقة بالفكرة الأساسية للنص كله، اللي هي how can I get to a specific place, how can I know the direction of a specific place. This is the general thing. Okay, فهذا الشيء اللي عم بيقولوا لي. Now if we continue reading, yes, here they said, of course, the subject of a whole reading should be more general than the specific topics of the individual paragraphs. It should be clearly related to the narrower topics. Okay, so that's the point. So the subject of the whole reading should be more general. يعني فكرة الموضوع الأساسية, it should be general than the specific topics of the individual paragraphs. So for the individual paragraphs, we have specific topics. But these specific topics are related to the general topic of the whole reading paragraph. So we have to distinguish between the topic of the whole paragraph, the whole reading, and between the topics of individual paragraphs. Okay, so that's the point. So again, I'll tell you, so there is a difference between the topic of the whole reading, which is more general, and between the topics of the individual paragraphs, which gives, I mean, specific topics. Okay, so that we have to understand this point. It's very important. Now, here guys, they said in the reading, how can I get to the post office? There is a capital letter next to each of the 7 paragraphs. I told you this, we have 7 paragraphs, and because we have 7 letters. Write the specific topic of each paragraph next to its letter. So now in this exercise, we need to write the specific topic for each paragraph. Now A and B are done as examples. Look, I told you, paragraph A, what's the title or what's the topic for paragraph A? The introduction to the reading. I told you that. I mean, we know that paragraph A is the introduction to the reading. In paragraph B, the topic is about directions in Japan. So, أنا بنرجع مرة ثانية لفوق. If we go here. Yes. So if we look at this one, paragraph A, it's an introduction. Always the first paragraph is the introduction to the whole reading. تمام؟ So كيف يعني introduction؟ يعني عم بيقولوا لي شيء بشكل عام إنه نحن عم نحكي never carry a map, you have to ask for directions. And we have different styles for directions. طيب هلا لما نحن جينا على الباراجراف B، إذا أنا سألتكم شو هي الفكرة الرئيسية، يعني شو هي topic sentence أو يعني شو هي topic sentence بالنسبة للباراجراف B، فإذا بتلاحظوا هذا الشيء مبين من السطر الأول. Tourists are often confused in Japan. So it means we are talking about what? Directions or directions in Japan. Just in Japan. I didn't mention anything. Okay? I didn't mention anything else. I didn't talk about the United States. I didn't talk about Mexico. I didn't talk about Greece. I talked about Japan only. So it means I'm talking about directions in Japan. فهي بسميه أنا the topic sentence. طبعا ما بدخل أنا بتفاصيل أكثر. يعني ما في داعي أنا أذكر مثلا landmarks لأنه هذول يعتبروا أفكار رئيسية. هذول بيجوا ترتيبهم بعد التوبيك. فأنا لما بسألكم عن التوبيك معناته هو only the general point. What is the general point of paragraph B? directions or directions in Japan. yeah. الفكرة يلي الباراجراف دي كله عم يحكي عليها. يعني إذا قرأتوا الباراجراف دي من أول سطر لآخر سطر هو بس عم يحكي عن Japan. Directions in Japan. So that's the point. طيب هلا نحن بدنا نشوف كل باراجراف كيف بدنا نطالع if we go to paragraph C. Let's go to paragraph, the top sentence of this paragraph. Yes, Gina. Directions in the USA. Only in the USA, or we have a specific place in the USA. Yes, for the excellent directions in the American Midwest. Yes, sorry. Okay. Not just in the USA, guys, because paragraph D also talks about directions in the USA. Okay. Paragraph B talks about directions in the United States, and again, paragraph D. Yes, again, paragraph C talks about directions in in the United States. So we can't say just directions in the United States. We have to be more specific, as Huda says, directions in the American Midwest, in the USA. So بدنا نكون واضحين. يعني الباراجراف دي كمان عم يحكي عن اليونايتد ستيتس. معناته شو الفرق صار بين A بين C و D؟ بدنا نوضح أكثر إنه هون أنا عم أحكي عن الكونتري سايد of the American Midwest. تمام؟ الكونتري سايد of the American Midwest. فأنا كتبت هون بعض القصص. If you look here, so for paragraph C, directions in the countryside of the American Midwest. So just we are talking about the American Midwest. We are not talking about all the United States, all the countries, or all the cities in the United States. No, just about the American Midwest. Okay, so that's the point. Now, if we go to the paragraph B. Yes, of course, Gina, but you don't, you mustn't just look at the first word, Gina. So again, they said in the United States, but look here, what did they say? As an example, we have the countryside of the American Midwest. Okay? So just to distinguish this from paragraph B. We are not talking about all the United States, but we are talking about the countryside of the American Midwest. لأنه إذا نحن عن paragraph B، طيب هلا إذا قلت لكم بالباراجراف B شو هي الفكرة الرئيسية؟ يعني topic sentence، كمان رح تقولوا لي United States، طب صار نفس الفكرة paragraph C. So this is wrong. Yes, sorry, and all good, exactly. So in paragraph D, بالparagraph D شو في عندي؟ Let's say directions in Los Angeles and California. Directions in Los Angeles and California. ممكن نقول كمان إنه directions in the Pacific Coast area. لأنه ال Pacific Coast area هي تشمل Los Angeles and California. Okay, so we can write that again here. Okay, just 1 minute. Yes. Yes, okay, no problem, Jules. So directions in the Pacific Coast area of the USA, of the United States, or as you said, directions in Los Angeles and California, the same thing. But now if you go to paragraph E, What about paragraph E? What is the topic of paragraph E? Usually we find the topic in the first like 2 lines. In the first 2 lines. So in paragraph E we are talking about what? People in the European country of Greece. So yes, Huda, directions in the European country of Greece. Excellent. Okay, great, Huda. Okay, Gina, not in all Europe. We have to be specific, Gina. نحن ما نحكي عن كل European countries. We are talking about the European country of Greece, so it means we are talking about Greece only, not all European countries. فهنا نحدد the European country of Greece, مو كل European countries. So نكون واضحين يعني بالإجابة. إذا قلت European countries, this is wrong. No, just we are talking about Greece. So this means that we are talking about directions in Greece. That's the point. So if we go directions in the European country of Greece. يعني ممكن نقول Greece مباشرة. Yes, so that's the point. So now if we go again to paragraph F. To paragraph F. Now here, as you can see, what if a person doesn't know the answer to your question about the location of a place? So what do we say? Is it just about Yakutan, Huda, or we have another thing? We have New York and we have Yakutan. So we have different places. Okay, so different types of answer about directions, maybe, or ممكن نقول يعني directions in some areas of Mexico مثلا. Yes, New Yorker and Yakutan طبعا ممكن. Yes, that's the point. هلا أنا ممكن أختار إجابة ثانية، يعني ممكن نفس الإجابات اللي قلتوها. مثلا نحن كتبنا مثلا إنه of explaining directions when the person doesn't know the answer to your question. تمام؟ وممكن نحن نحط إنه مثلا directions in some مثلا regions or places. Okay, ممكن نقول directions in some areas of Mexico. مثلا directions in some areas of Mexico, such as Yakutan مثلا. Okay, so we have different things. يعني المهم إنه yes. اوكي المهم نحن نعطي الفكره الاساسيه يلي انذكرت في الباراجراف. اوكي some like directions in some areas of Mexico like Yakutan. ممكن اوكي ممكن. Yes طبعا of course فاطمه يعني يكون عندكم 4 choices and you have to choose the best one. But another thing, now if you go to paragraph, what is the topic of paragraph G? Here we are talking about one thing will help you everywhere. Yes. What do you think? What do you suggest? The paragraph G. طبعا احنا ممكن هون نقول yes, the conclusion. Yes, the conclusion. ممكن نقول إنه هي الconclusion لأنه قلنا الباراجراف number 1 هو كان الانترودكشن، ما هيك؟ معناتها الباراجراف الأخير هو بيكون شو؟ the conclusion. So نحن ممكن نقول هيك the conclusion to the reading، مثل ما قلنا بأول وحدة the introduction to the reading. هون ممكن نقول the conclusion to the reading. إذا بدنا نخصص أكثر مثلا نقول the use of body language. The use of body language. أو yes, directions or directions in various cultures around the world. Yeah, something like that. Okay guys. Yes هلا راح يكونوا واضحين مثل هذول. يعني نحن إذا بتلاحظوا كيف نحن عم نطالع التوبيك سنتنس، عم نطالع من أول سطر أو سطرين مباشرة، عم بتكون التوبيك سنتنس واضحة. فأول ما نقرأ الباراجراف نبين معنا مباشرة نحن شو هي الفكرة الأساسية، يعني شو عم نحكي. طبعا مثل ما قلت لكم ما بندخل بتفاصيل أكثر لأنه هلا رح نشوف كيف رح نجاوب على باقي الأسئلة. طيب. Okay guys, now this is about the reading, I mean paragraphs and the whole reading topics. Now this is about representative paragraphs. If it comes to this question, okay guys, now here I need the topic for the whole reading. Which phrase, A, B, or C, best tells the subject of the whole reading? How can I get to the post office? So we have to choose A, B, or C, and you have to give reasons for your answer. So now you have to tell me the topic for the whole reading, not specific paragraphs, for the whole reading. So what do you think? Is it about the importance of body language for tourists and travelers? Or how people give street directions in various places in the world? Or different kinds of maps for travel and weather? Now what do you think? Which one is the best title or the best topic, let's say, for the whole reading? Okay, why is Tariq, Fatima, B? Okay, why guys? Why and Salwa? Why do you choose, I mean, B? Could you give me a reason for that? Reason why do you choose, let's say, B? Okay, really, because there are different roads in every region or country. Not exactly. مو يعني هي الإجابة الدقيقة، في أكثر من هيك. شو؟ Okay, Bayan, you said C. Okay, Fatima, they don't talk about different. They don't talk, or they talk about different. What do you think? Yes. Okay, yeah, because other way for find or to find out as landmarks or you mean they are talking about different things, guys? They are talking about different in different cultures, you mean? They are talking about this in different cultures? Yes, it could be. And the answer is B. How people give street directions in various places in the world. As we said, I mean, if you remember, paragraph B was about Japan. Paragraph C was about the United States, the American Midwest. Paragraph D was about Los Angeles and California. Paragraph E was about Greece. Okay, so it means we are talking about different places in the world. How people give street directions in different or various places in the world. That's why we choose answer B. هلا Bayan مثلا she said C. No, we didn't talk about kinds of maps for travel and weather. We didn't talk about this Bayan. This is unrelated. يعني هذا خارج الموضوع. We didn't talk about this thing. So this is wrong. هلا في منهم حكوا يلي ما حكى عفوا يلي ممكن يقول انه ايه الإجابة the importance of body language for tourists and travelers. That was for paragraph G. the last paragraph. If you remember, we talked about body language only in the last paragraph. So it means it might be the topic for the last paragraph, not all of them. Okay, but when we choose these, this is for all the reading text. اوكي نحن بدنا نميز. انا هون ما عم لكم انه فكره باراجراف معين، لا، نحن بدنا الفكره الاساسيه التوبيك لكل النص. فمعناتها انا بدي اشمل النص كله، بما انه انا حكيت عن اليابان، يونايتد ستيتس، غريس، مكسيكو. معناتها شو؟ معناتها انا عم بحكي عن different or various places in the world and how people give street directions in these places. Okay, that's why. فبدي انتبه لهالنقطة. أما الفكرة ال A, the importance of body language، هي حكيناها بس بالباراجراف الأخير. فأنا بدي انتبه شباب لما بسألكم بالفحص، لما بسألكم إنه أعطوني التوبيك للباراجراف for the whole reading text، بدي انتبه إنه أنا بدي أعطي للwhole reading text. ولما بذكر لكم كلمة whole reading معناتها لكل النص. أما لما عم أذكر لكم مثلا أعطوني فكرة بس للباراجراف B أو بس للباراجراف E، فأنا هون بدي أقرأ هالباراجراف بالذات وحاول إنه أعطي الفكرة فقط له. طبعا هي فكرته أكيد بدها تكون متعلقة بالفكرة الأساسية بالنص، بس ولكن بدنا ننتبه. فأكيد ممكن بتتوقع إنه يجيكم أسئلة إنه إما للباراجراف للإنديفيدوال باراجراف بشكل منفصل أو للهول reading text. Okay, guys, you got the answer, you got the point? Okay, great, guys. So that's the point. يا فاضل. هلا النصوص اكيد رح تكون خارج الكتاب، يعني ما هي النصوص اللي نحن عم ندرسها. اوكي، النصوص اللي عم ندرسها، بس نحن هلا هون اذا بتلاحظوا عم نعمل دائما تدريب على هالنصوص على نفس النمط. بس مو يعني نحن عم نعمل تدريب وعم نحل اسئله اوكي مشان نتدرب كيف نحل اي نص بيجينا، مو نروح نحفظ النص بس وخلص ندخل على الفحص. اوكي، نحن بيهمنا انه الطريقه كيف عم نشتغل. Yes, that's the point. Great, guys. هلا خلونا نشوف الفكرة الثانية. أحكي the topic for individual paragraphs and for the whole reading. Now we have to know about the main idea. فالmain idea هي مختلفة عن التوبيك. هلا رح نشوف كيف. So here how we understand the main idea. Look here. How can readers get and tell the point of reading material in a simple way? This is a question. How can they get the point of reading material in a simple way? One basic method is to ask one question about the information in each paragraph, and then a general question about the point of the whole reading. Now the answer could be one or two sentences to each question, and this gives you the main idea. What does that mean, guys? You remember now, in the previous exercise, we talked about the topics for each paragraph. But now if I want to talk about the main idea, which means we need to add just a little bit more details, okay? Here we ask one question for each paragraph. We ask one general question about each paragraph. Now, the answer to this question is the main idea of the paragraph. Okay, so this is the point. Now here, look, they said, for each of paragraph topics from the reading, how can I get to the post office, complete a different question about the information. Look here, guys. If you remember the first one, if you remember the first paragraph, we said the first paragraph, paragraph A, is an introduction to the reading, right? So this is what we said. the introduction to the reading material. So this is the topic. طيب أنا كيف بدي أعرف شو هي الفكرة الرئيسية اللي هي المين idea. فأنا بسأل واحدة من الطرق لحتى أعرف هذا الشيء we ask question one general question. So therefore I say the introduction to the reading material. What is the point of the introduction to the reading material? What is the point of the introduction? Now, the answer to this question is the main idea. طيب هلا أنا إذا سألكم السؤال كيف رح نجاوب عليه؟ What is the point of the introduction of the reading, the introduction to the reading material? هاي رح أنا أرجع للباراجراف A. طيب what is the point of this introduction? Is like never carry a map and you have to ask for directions. So you have to ask for directions and give me the different ways of directions. So this is the main idea of the reading of the introduction. يعني أنا صح قلت إنه الباراجراف A هو introduction هو مقدمة للنص. طبعا شو هالمقدمة عم تحكي؟ بدي أسأل سؤال هون حتى أعرف. فمثلا السؤال هو what is the point of the introduction؟ طيب الإجابة هلا لهذا السؤال إنه the importance of asking for directions and the different kinds of directions. Okay, so that's the point. فأنا السؤال طبعا ما بعتبره أنا هو الفكرة الرئيسية المين idea. الإجابة للسؤال هي المين idea. فننتبه لهالفكرة. طب نرجع نشوف هلا نحن الباراجراف بي مثلا الباراجراف بي كنا عم نحكي عن جابان. Okay, I underlined that there. We said never carry a map. You have to ask for directions. This is the main point, and we are talking about different styles of directions. طيب هلا لتوضح الأمور أكثر. Let's go to paragraph B. Now, what is the topic of paragraph B? We said the topic is okay, what is your you have a question, Diane? Before we go to paragraph B. Yes. Okay, guys. So yes, Fatima, I'm sorry. So yes, this is the point. So the directions in Japan. Okay. Yes, Ben. So now here you have to understand the text actually. Sometimes this helps. Sometimes this helps. I mean to find a word in the question which is similar to the same word, for example, in the text. This sometimes helps, but not all the time. So you have to understand the paragraph now. Yes. هلا خلونا بجابان. نحن قلنا إنه الفكرة الأساسية هي directions in Japan. تمام؟ طيب إذا رجعنا مثلا كيف بدي أعرف شو هي المين idea. بما إنه عم أسأل directions in Japan, this is the topic. تمام؟ So how do people often give directions in Japan? How do people often give directions in Japan? Or yes, how do people ask about directions in Japan? Or how they give, let's say, directions in Japan? So what is the answer to this question? Yes, excellent guys, right and yes. So they use landmarks. معناها using landmarks to give directions in Japan is the main idea of paragraph B. فالإجابة لهذا السؤال هي المين idea. فأنتم مثل ما جاوبتوا قلتوا لي إنه landmarks. So we use landmarks. معناتها أنا شو هي الفكرة إنه using landmarks to give directions in Japan. This is the main point. This is the main idea of paragraph B. You got the point? So برجع بقول السؤال مو هو المين idea ولكن الجواب للسؤال هو بيكون المين idea. بس أنا ليش عم أسأل هذا السؤال؟ لحتى أسهل علي عملية إنه أعرف شو هي المين ايديا. طيب نرجع مثلا الباراجراف سي. نحن قلنا الباراجراف سي. What is the topic of paragraph C? The topic of paragraph C is directions in the region of the American Midwest, right? This is the topic of paragraph C. Directions in the American Midwest, in region of the American Midwest. But we can ask the same question: how do people often give directions in the region of American Midwest? How do people often give directions? What is the answer to this question? What do they use? How do people often give directions in the American Midwest? Do they use sign or distance and direction? No, they don't use sign. يعني قلنا the American Midwest, this is the American Midwest, they use what? They use directions and distances. طيب تمام, no problem. So معناتها انه using, كيف بتصير الفكرة الرئيسية؟ using directions and distances to give directions or directions in the American Midwest. تمام؟ فالإجابة للسؤال هي عم بتكون المين ايديا. That's the point. معناتها أنا دائما لازم أميز بين التوبيك وبين المين ايديا، اثنيناتهم شغلتين مختلفات. التوبيك هي بتكون شغلة more general أكثر من المين ايديا. المين ايديا بقى بلش بالتفاصيل. فأنا مثلا بالباراجراف بي in Japan ما في داعي أنا أستخدم بالتوبيك لاند ماركس، لا هي بستخدمها بالمين ايديا. بكفي بالتوبيك أنا أقول إنه مثلا directions in Japan. طيب how do people know? How do people often give directions? They use landmarks. So using landmarks is the main idea. For paragraph C, the same thing. Directions in the American Midwest. How do people give directions in the American Midwest? They use what? Directions and distances. This is the main idea. So in this way. Again, we go to paragraph D. We go to paragraph D. The topic of paragraph D is directions in the city of Los Angeles and Los Angeles, California. So, how do people often give directions in this one? Yes, exactly. They use time. So, the main idea is using time to give directions in the city of Los Angeles and California. وبس يعني ما برجع بضيف كلمة زيادة، ما برجع بعطي تفاصيل زيادة، لأنه هلا إذا بدي أرجع أعطي تفصيل أكثر من إنه using time، فبقى أنا هون دخلت بالديتيلز. نحن هون هلا ما عم نحكي عن الديتيلز، عم نحكي فقط عن المين ايديا. بس بلشنا نعطي examples اوكي وديتيلز، صرنا بالديتيلز. أما هون بكفي أنا أقول using time to give directions in the city of Los Angeles. Great. The same now for E. The topic for paragraph E is directions in the European country of Greece. Directions in the European country of Greece. Now, how again we can ask a question: how do people give directions in the European country of Greece? How do people give directions in Greece? What do they do? Yes, they say they use gestures, they use motions, or say follow me, because they don't understand the Greek language. Okay. طبعا احنا ما نكتب بس هيك follow me. They use ممكن نقول they use motions, they use gestures, or they say follow me. So هذا السطر هو بيكون المين ايديا. الجواب للسؤال بيكون مين ايديا مثل ما قلنا. Okay, that's the point. Okay guys, great. Now if we go to F, yeah, very simple بيان. يعني نحن الفكرة عم ترجع بتنعاد. يعني نحن من الباراجراف A لحد الآن شو عم نعمل؟ عم نرجع بنعيد نفس السؤال عم يتكرر. نفس السؤال عم يتكرر. فمثلا in paragraph F شو قلنا الفكرة الرئيسية؟ Directions in some areas of Mexico like Yucatan. Okay, this is the topic of paragraph F. Again, we write the same question. The two questions. How do people often give directions? The same question. How do people often give directions in Mexico, in Yucatan? What is the answer to this question? So we use the answer as a main idea. Yes, did they say I don't know? هلا نحن قلنا New Yorkers say don't know. I don't know. People from New York say I don't know. But for people in Mexico and Yucatan, we said they find it impolite. Yes, exactly, Paul. Excellent. They give direction even if they don't know. They give direction even if they don't know. Even if it was a wrong answer, they give directions. So this is what they say. They talk to people, they try to talk to you and give you an answer to your question, even if it was a wrong answer. Exactly. فهي الفكرة الرئيسية معناها للباراجراف F. فالإجابة لهذا السؤال عم تكون الفكرة الرئيسية. فأنا السؤال اللي عم تشوفوه قدامكم هو سؤال تخيلي. ما في داعي نحن نكتبه، هذا نحن بنقوله بعقلنا بس لحتى نعرف كيف نصل أو كيف نحصل على الجواب. فالجواب نحن يلي بدنا إياه هو يلي بيهمنا. To give the main idea. For G, the same thing. We said G is the conclusion to the reading material, right? We said G is the conclusion. But what is the point of this conclusion? What is the point of the conclusion to the reading material? Yes, exactly, Gima. We used excellent the body language. We use the body language to communicate with people or to tell or to give directions. Okay? فالفكرة الرئيسية ترجع تتكرر. So that's the point. Here the same thing, in what ways you give directions in various cultures around the world. So this is related to G, no problem. So نحن يهمنا انه body language for paragraph G. Yes. Okay, so that's the point. اوكي، فنرجع معناها نحن دائما لازم نميز بين التوبيك والمين idea. Topics versus main ideas. Topics versus main ideas. So we find the topics in the first two lines. First line, second line, just. And the main idea in the middle. We ask a question, okay, and we try to answer this question to find the main idea. This is one of the easiest ways to find the main idea. Yes, of course, well, I'm going to send you a Word file to these things. Don't worry about that. Okay, let's see or discuss something else. Now, in number 7, you see these sentences? These sentences are answers to the above questions. These sentences are answers to the above questions. So that's the point. But we have some mistakes in each sentence. Of course, some mistakes in information, about information, the information in the paragraphs. So from paragraph A to paragraph G, sentence number 1 for paragraph A, sentence number 2 for paragraph B, sentence number 3 for paragraph C. But we have some mistakes, false information. Okay? So we are going to try to correct the information in these sentences, and we can consider these sentences as answers to the above questions. يعني فينا نعتبر هدول الجمل بعد ما نصححهم طبعا نعتبرهم انه هن اجابات للاسئله اللي حكينا عليهم فوق. يعني هن يعتبروا معناتها شو؟ يعتبروا هن main ideas. فهن main ideas للreading text. If you look at number 1, if you don't carry a map on your travels, you won't have to ask for directions. It's wrong. How can I correct the sentence? If you don't carry a map on your travels, you have to ask for directions. Yes, exactly. So you have to ask for directions. This is the main idea of paragraph B. Of paragraph A, the introduction. So you have to ask for directions. Now, if you go to number 2, which is paragraph B, in Japan, people most often use street names in their directions. Do they use street names in their directions? No, they don't use street names in their directions in Japan. Okay, because if we go to paragraph B, if we go to paragraph B, those streets there don't have names. So they don't have names for their streets. That's why they don't use street names, they use landmarks. Okay? So we have to correct the information. So most streets there don't have names. So if we go back to the question, to the sentence, so they often use street names? No, they don't use street names in their directions. They use what? Landmarks. Okay, in paragraph 3 now. In the mountainous land of the American Midwest, people will tell you directions with landmarks. What do you think? Now here we are talking about the American Midwest. Do they use landmarks? No, of course. They don't use landmarks. No, sorry, we said landmarks are used in Japan. Yes, exactly, Jima. They use distance and direction. Okay, so if we go to paragraph C, American Midwest, they use what? Directions and distances. Directions and distances, exactly. So بس نحن عم يرجعوا بيعيدوا فكرة المين ideas بس بطريقة مختلفة. Okay, just to check our understanding. Now if we go to number 4, in Los Angeles, California, the most common way to give directions is in kilometers. So people in Los Angeles, do they use kilometers to give directions? No, they don't use. Excellent, Gina Tare. So they use time. Excellent, guys. And Jude. Yes, so they use what? Time to give directions. فهي تعتبر المين ايديا الفكره الرئيسيه. انا اذا سالتكم الفكره الرئيسيه فهي انه they give directions in time. They measure distance in time. Okay, number 5. Even if visitors to Greece don't understand the language, the people will usually give directions with a lot of words in long sentences. Sorry. So they use long sentences in Greece. Do they use long words and sentences in Greece? No, they don't, because because people don't understand the language. Yes, sorry. So they use motions, they use gestures, or they say, "Follow me." In this way. Okay. Sentence number 6. In some parts of Mexico, people may be impolite, so they always say, "I don't know," in answer to questions about directions. So here we are talking about Mexico, Yucatan. Do they say, "I don't know," or they consider this as an impolite way? Yes. They never answer. Yes, they answer anyway. Exactly, sorry. They answer anyway. They don't say, I don't know, because they say this is impolite. So they give you an answer. They talk to you and give you an answer, even if it was wrong one. Great. In 7, all over the world, words in sentences are easier to understand than body language. All over the world, words in sentences are easier to understand than body language. Do you think that sentences are better than body language? No. We said body language is easier than words in sentences. Using body language is better than using long sentences. This is all over the world in different cultures. If you don't understand the language, so it's better to use body language, not to use long sentences. And the last one, in various cultures around the world, people give directions to travelers and tourists in exactly the same way. Do they give the information or directions exactly in the same way? No, of course. So we have different ways, we have different styles of directions, as we said. So هذا الشيء كان واضح بالintroduction. بالintroduction إذا رحنا كل الناس عم يحكي عن هي الفكرة إنه we have different styles of directions. That's the point. In different parts of the world, different styles of directions. Okay, guys. فهذول يعتبروا main ideas. Main ideas بالنسبة للreading text اللي هي مثل ما قلنا مختلفة عن الtopic sentence. الtopic sentence بتكون in general but main ideas more much. Because if you give too much details, it means here we are talking about specific details. اوكي معناته صار في عندنا 3 levels. في عندي شيء اسمه topic. Just this is number 1. Just 1 minute. This is number 1 topic. Number 2 main idea, and number 3 details. تمام. الديتيلز اللي يكون فيها تفاصيل بقى اكثر. طيب هلا okay, let's discuss here, finding illustrations of word meanings. This is similar to how to get the meaning from context. Sometimes you might find strange words. Sometimes you might find difficult words. And we can find an illustration to these words in the same context, sometimes in the same sentence. Look here. Sometimes illustrations of the meaning of vocabulary items are in another sentence or sentence part. So here we are talking about the context. The words, for example, for instance, as an illustration, like, such as, can be clues to meaning through illustration. So we can use, for example, for instance, illustration like, such as. We can use these words to give illustrations, to make meanings easier, okay, to clarify the meaning. So, for example, people in Los Angeles talk about distance in time. طب هلا ممكن حدا يجي يقول لي شو معناتها distance in time؟ شو بيقصدوا بهي العبارة distance in time؟ فنحن ممكن نشوف الإجابة أو نعرف التوضيح من خلال الكونتكست نفسه. Look here, they will say such things as it's about 5 minutes from here. So it's about 5 minutes from here. This is an illustration of distance in time. يعني توضيح لجملة distance in time هي it's about 5 minutes from here. So this is an illustration or as an explanation to this one. So it's about 5 minutes from here explains distance in time. Yes, exactly. طبعا هون استخدمنا كلمة مثلا such as. فأنا لما بستخدم such as, like, for instance, for example أنا هون عم اشرح شيء كتبته قبل. لما بستخدم for example معناتها أنا عم أعطي مثال عن شيء أنا كتبته. معناتها هون أنا عم ضيف شرح عم اشرح. مثلا عندنا بالنمبر 1 في عندي for example landmarks. This is in paragraph B. هلا ممكن حدا يقول لي شو معناتها landmarks؟ طيب هلا هون عرفوا لي اياها. كيف عرفوا لي اياها؟ هذه اضافه مثلا كتبوا لي انه the corner, the big hotel, the sushi bar and so on. If we go to paragraph B, خلينا نروح لparagraph B ونشوف. This is paragraph B. Look, so they use what? Landmarks. Some people might find it difficult. So look, for example. فأنا شو استخدم هون for example لحتى أوضح معنى كلمة landmarks. فمثلا أنا عندي في عندي مثلا like the corner, big hotel, sushi bar, fruit market, the bus stop, fast food, fried chicken place. So كل هدول اسمهم landmarks لأنه إجوا بعد كلمة for example. So أنا عم بوضح landmarks. فهون بس عم بيعلمونا انه كيف نحن نفهم الكلمة from the context للسياق. طيب هلا ممكن some people they might ask about directions or directions. If you look at paragraph C, this is preferred directions. What do we mean by directions? So look, here we have for instance, so it means this is, I'm going to explain directions and distances. So directions, what about directions? مثل شو كلمات عم تعطيني directions. So we have to find this after for instance. نشوفها بعد كلمة for instance. مثل شو مثلا أنا عندي what go straight north. This is a direction. Okay. Turn right. This is a direction. Excellent. Got it. Northern direction. So هدول كلهم عم بيعطوني direction. طيب مثلا distances. شو بقصد بالdistances؟ كمان بعد كلمة for instance. So distances like 2 miles, another mile. Okay, you see? So I can find some illustrations or some explanation for some difficult or strange words. We can find this after some words like, for example, for instance, such as, or like, or an illustration. Okay, guys? So it's very simple. We can get that from the context. Again, we have, so we talk about this actually. We talk about directions, we talk about distances. The last thing we have body language. This is in paragraph G. So we can go to paragraph G to find what we mean by body language. Look here, we have body language. It means we use what? Facial expressions. طبعا أنا قلت لكم إنه نحن أحيانا ممكن نشوف هذا الشيء between 2 dashes. Body language, like facial expressions, gestures, motions, movements, etc. Okay, that's the point. Yes, exactly, Gina. فهدول كلهم هن بيعتبروا تكنيك بيطبقوا على أي نص قراءة، مو بس على هذا النص، أي نص قراءة راح تشوفوها هلا لقدام راح يطبقوا نفس الأفكار. كيف نطالع التوبيك، كيف نطالع المين ايديا، word meanings. And now the last point we have to is how we recognize the relationship of details to the point. نحن قلنا إنه في عندي 3 points، في عندي topic, main idea and details. هلا الديتيلز ممكن نحن يعني نعرفهم عن طريق punctuation marks. هلا رح نشوف أمثلة. شوفوا عندي punctuation marks might show the relationship between the point of reading material and some of the supporting details. For instance, شوفوا, we have a column. We call this a column. This column can introduce a list of things, usually illustrations or examples. And also we use comma to separate the different items of this list. Look at the example. In Japan, people typically use landmarks in their directions. Look, we have a column. They use landmarks in their directions. Like what? So هلا ليش أنا حطيت column؟ لأنه في عندي تعداد. They talk about hotels, markets, bus stops, and so on. هلا أنا في عندي list تعداد. والايتمز اللي موجودين ضمن هي القائمة كيف فصلتهم أنا؟ بكما. تمام. هلا هدول يعتبروا شو؟ يعتبروا examples of landmarks for directions. يعني يعتبروا details. اوكي؟ فأنا هون لما عم فصل أكثر شو لأنه أنا قلت بالباراجراف بي الفكرة الرئيسية إنه هن بيستخدموا landmarks ووقفت. تمام؟ يعني أنا قلت إنه landmark the topic sentence of paragraph B is directions in Japan. The main idea is using landmarks in Japanese people directions. When Japanese people want to give directions, they use landmarks. هلا بدي ارجع بقى اعطي تفاصيل اكثر شو هدول landmarks. So استدليت عن التفاصيل عن طريق punctuation marks. So they talk about hotels, markets, bus stops, and so on. Yeah. So this is detail. Sometimes we use a semicolon. But when you use the semicolon, you have to separate two closely related sentences. So these sentences should be related, closely related. The second sentence can explain or add useful information to the first one. How? Look at the first as the example. In the American Midwest, there are no mountains and few hills. Semicolon. The land is very flat. Now here I join two sentences with semicolon. The second sentence is an explanation to the first one. The second sentence, the land is very flat, is an explanation to the first one. So when I say there are no mountains and few hills, what does that mean? It means the land is very flat. So the word flat means without mountains or hills. تمام؟ فحصرا لازم يكونوا الجملتين مترابطات مع بعض. يعني أنا ما بصير أربط هدول الجملتين بفاصلة فقط. إذا ربطت الجملتين بفاصلة خطأ. حصرا لازم نربطهم بسيمي كولن. ليش؟ لأنه هن مرتبطات مع بعض. أما لو كانوا ما لهم مرتبطات فما فيني أربطهم فقط بفاصلة. بدي أضيف أداة ربط. Yes, the same idea, exactly. طيب هلا sometimes we use quotation marks. Quotation marks. This is when you quote people's exact words. For example, a Greek will say, follow me. You see, we have two quotation marks. It means this person said this phrase. A Greek will say, follow me. So this is a detail. This is detail. Okay? So the quotation marks نستخدم لما بيجي. طيب هلا أسئلة questions رح نجاوب على هي الأسئلة حسب فهمنا للنص من النص طبعا الإجابة حتكون من الريدنج تكست. طبعا هي الأسئلة هي لها علاقة بالديتيلز طبعا النص. كل ما نعمل نروح على الديتيلز أكثر. So if you look at the first question, guys, the writer of the reading material has a special rule for travel. What is it? What is this special rule for travel? So we can go to paragraph A to find that, right? What is the special rule for when you travel, when you want to travel? There is like a special rule for traveling. What is this rule? Yes, guys, you can find it in front of you from the text. Yes, excellent. So never carry a map. Never carry a map. Exactly. This is the special rule. You see, you can find the answer in front of you. Here we are talking about details. Now, if you go to question number 2. Question number 2. What are some advantages of travel without maps? What are some advantages of travel without maps? Yes, so we can go again to paragraph A. What's of traveling without maps? We have a lot of examples. We have a lot of advantages. You can have a good time. You see, we have other some advantages. You can practice a new language. You can meet new people. You can learn new customs and the like. You see? So these are some of the advantages of asking for directions without using the map. You can have a good time, etc. Practice new language, meet new people. So from the text, you can find the answer from the text. Okay, question number 3. Why are foreign tourists often confused in Japan? Why are foreign tourists often confused in Japan? Why they are confused? So we can go, why they are confused in Japan. We can go to paragraph B because we talked about Japan in paragraph B. Yes, so that's because most cities don't have names. Excellent. No, Jima. Because they don't have, why they are confused? That's because most street names, don't have names. Okay? That's the point. So just you can find the answer in front of you from the text. Okay, you have just to remember that. Great, guys. Now if you go to question, very simple question. Now we go to question 4. Sorry, the question, yes, to question 4. What are some illustrations of Japanese directions or directions? What are some illustrations, or let's say, what are some examples of Japanese directions? Examples about Japanese directions. We said they use the landmarks, so like what? I need info. Yes, we said we use landmarks like what? Like hotels. Yes. Okay. Bus stop. Yes. Gina, good. So we use bus stops. We use markets. We use bars, and we use hotels. Okay. So these are some of the examples of landmarks because we are talking about details. So when we use the word illustration, it means you need to give examples. دائما كلمة illustration معناتها أنا بدي توضيح، بدي examples. Okay, question number 5. What directions might residents of the American Midwest give people? What directions might residents of the American Midwest give people? Tell some examples. So دائما بالديتيلز tell some examples. Examples about directions of the American Midwest. So we go to the American Midwest, that was in paragraph C. Examples like what? Yes, Gina, because traits. هلا نحن قلنا انه بيعتمدوا على directions والdistances، بس بدي examples. فأنا مثلا ممكن أقول people will say go straight north for 2 miles then yes. يعني أنا بدي examples، معناتها بذكر examples. هنا عم بيقولوا لي إنه give me some examples. خلص نحن عرفنا إنه المين idea إنه بنستخدم نحن directions والdistances. But for examples we need to mention details. But question number 6. Why don't people in Los Angeles give directions in miles, kilometers, and blocks? Why they don't give directions in miles or kilometers or blocks? That was in Los Angeles. Do you remember that? Why they don't use miles? Yes, any suggestion? Because, do you remember? Because, no, Dima, not that, like that. No, because most of them have cars. Most of them have cars. That's what we said. If you look at one, yes, you see where we said that we were talking about Los Angeles. Yes, yes, they are almost always in their cars. So they measure distance in time. They don't use miles or kilometers because almost all in their cars. Okay. Yeah. كثير بطر هي انه يعني شوفوا البطر، يعني انه انا والله ما بقول لك عن لاند مارك، خلص 5 دقائق 10 دقائق يعني عن طريق الوقت. Okay. Question 7. Why do Greeks seldom give foreigners directions in words and sentences? Why they don't give directions in words or sentences? Why? Why? Because we said Greeks don't they say that people don't understand the Greek language. No, not like this, because they don't understand the Greek language. That's why. Okay, why they don't? Why? An answer. Because people don't understand. Yes, they seldom understand the Greek. Yes. Okay, sorry. هلا ما كملت الجملة لهيك فكرت إنه غلط. Yes, so that's the point. They don't understand the Greek language. That's why. But if we go to the next question, question 8. If a resident of New York City doesn't know the location of a place, how might he or she answer the question about directions? If a resident of New York, we are talking about New York people, people living in New York, if they don't know the location, how they answer? They, yes, exactly, sorry, they said, I don't know, and they walk away quickly. They said, I don't know, and walk away quickly. Great, excellent. But in question number 9, why won't blind residents of Yucatan answer lost tourist, I don't know? why won't the polite resident of Yucatan answer lost tourist? I don't know. Good, Fayan, thank you very much. Excellent. This is for question 8. Yes, Tare and Huda, yes, because it's impolite. They don't answer I don't know because they consider this phrase as an impolite. Okay? So, yes, this is what they believe in. Question 10. How does a person give directions with body language? How does a person give directions with body language? Yes, excellent, Gina. So they use motion, they use facial expressions, as you said, like gestures, motions, and movements. This is what they use. Okay, guys? Yes, exactly. Great. So in this way, that was the last exercise. هذا كان آخر تمرين بالنسبة للreading. هلا إذا تلاحظوا نحن أخذنا جلستين تقريبا بالنسبة للreading لأنه كان ضخم بصراحة. يعني في عنا كان جلسة قبل العطلة بالنسبة للنص وشرحه، واليوم الجلسة كانت عن الأسئلة اللي بعد النص. فأنا هيك يعني النصوص كتير مهمة. بدنا نفهم الطريقة فقط، أوكي؟ كيف نحن عم نجاوب عن النص. yes, thank you very much. بدنا نفهم نحن الطريقة. هلا إذا بتلاحظوا النصوص اللي بعد لقدام كلهم نفس الطريقة عم يحكوا، إنه نحن بدنا نطالع التوبيك، المين area and the details. تمام؟ صار نتبع نفس الطرق، وكيف نحن نعرف المعنى من خلال النص، etc. Thank you very much guys. هلا في شغله كمان قبل ما نروح، بالنسبه للوظيفه على الاغلب تنزل الاسبوع، يعني اما الاسبوع هذا اللي نحن فيه او بدايه الاسبوع القادم رح نشوف كيف. هلا انا بس رح اعطيكم لمحه عن الوظيفه، ما رح ابعث لكم اياها لانه لما بتنزل عن LMS بتبلشوا تشتغلوا فيها. بس هلا رح اعطيكم لمحه بس صغيره عنها، يعني حتى بس انه يلي بحب مثلا يجمع افكار لحال او يعني يحاول هيك مثل ما بيقولوا عنا يعني مخمخ الفكره براسه. تمام؟ بس ما في داعي تكتبوا شيء لانه انا رح الدرس القادم اشرح بشكل مفصل كيف رح نكتب الوظيفه. بس هلا بس هيك انه ناخذ فكره عنها عن الموضوع. اوكي. So the topic 1. So it's about writing an opinion paragraph, not descriptive, it's an opinion paragraph. And in this one, in your assignment, you are going to write a paragraph giving your opinion about this statement. This statement, older people can always learn something new from young generations. Okay, so older people can always learn something new from young generations. No, this is the topic you have to write about, Bayan. This is the topic. So if you agree with this topic, with this statement, you have to tell me why. You have to give me 3 reasons. And if you don't agree, if you disagree with this statement, you have to give me 3 reasons why you don't agree or why you disagree. Okay, guys. As I told you, you don't have to write anything now. Just it's like an introduction, a general introduction. Next time, next lesson, next session, I'm going to start the session with explaining the assignment and how we write an opinion paragraph. Okay? فبرجع لكم ما حدا يكتب شيء حاليا هون، يعني فيكم بس تجمعوا افكار. تجمعوا افكار ما في مشكله، تعملوا brainstorming، اوكي ما في مشكله. الدرس القادم بدايه المحاضره رح اشرح انا كيف نكتب الاوبينيون باراجراف وكيف رح نجاوب عن الوظيفه. اوكي؟ فلهيك بدايه المحاضره القادمه رح تكون مهمه. هلا نحن على الحال بلشنا يعني وصلنا على writing section، بعدين من writing section نحكي بعض النقاط. Okay, so just try to brainstorm some ideas and then I'll teach you next session how we write an opinion paragraph. Okay guys, any questions? Okay, thank you very much, guys, and see you next time on Thursday. Love you so much, and have a nice night, guys. Bye bye.